Hey, Don Williams here with today's episode of the Proven Entrepreneur Show. I got a great guest today. I got Jermaine Cheatham. Jermaine, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, Don. Looking forward to it, man.
So looking forward to this. Been looking forward to it ever since you booked, the guest book, in advance. And so I knew this was coming up. So tell us to begin with, what's your business? Who do you serve? What do you do? Why do you do it?
It's always a loaded question because we're multifaceted. But I guess in a nutshell, really, my inspiration is entrepreneurs. And I really want them to succeed and build simple businesses. So I really help them build financial freedom, number one, lifestyle freedom, number two. But more importantly, I want them to have fulfillment in what they do. And so that's what I focus on. And there's really a few areas how we do that. And we can dive into that later. But that's who I serve and that's what I do it for.
Awesome. How long have you done that?
Well, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 10. So I have a passion for this. So actually serving them in different capacities throughout the years, really. So, but purely from a consulting basis where I'm actually helping them with their businesses from the lens of simplifying it for about 6 years now. But in essence, I've been doing it my entire life.
Love that. I love that. And so, you use the word simple, and, something I share with my clients regularly is this. So like this part I'm going to share with you, this is simple genius. And like almost all genius is simple. If you can't explain it, okay, you don't know it. And businesses that are really complicated, have a lot of moving parts, they're hard to scale. They're hard to make anything happen unless you're AT&T or Verizon or somebody who was an entrepreneurial business 150 years ago. And now they're a Fortune 10 company. So I know that you speak regularly about choosing to being a creator instead of a victim. What was the moment you decided that was going to be your narrative?
I'll be around 6 years old because I grew up in a lot of adversity. And I really had two choices. I either succumb to your circumstances and situation and environment, or you blow past it. And it's a definitive choice. I think Einstein said it. He said, the most important first decision anybody ever makes is the world friendly or is it hostile? And I had to face that question, as a 6, 7-year-old. And you don't really know until you go out into the world to talk to people and figure out like what's real, what's true. You can't trust hearsay. You can't trust the news. You can't trust secondhand accounts. Life is only experienced first person. And I wanted to explore that idea, that question. And so I realized the world is friendly as long as you're a creator of your reality. And the only way you do that is go into the world and see what's going on. Try to help, try to serve, try to be the best you can be, and then put your head on the pillow at night, go to bed, and turn the page and start excited the next day for the next mission.
I love that. And so I do think that's a choice. You can see the glass half full or half empty. I think that was a pretty heavy choice for a 6 or 7-year-old to have to make. And so kudos to you for being years ahead of your chronological age to kind of figure that out, because I would think most 6, 7-year-olds probably don't see it that way. We all only know what we know, and there's so much more out there that we don't know. And the only way to find out, you got to get out there and see it, do it, try it. Life is an experiment, man. And so, go experiment. So I think over the last couple of years, you've done like 50 million in deals. Your background is you had an unstable childhood. I guess that's how I'll put that. What mindset did you use to turn chaos into leverage and clarity into business?
I think really the mindset is you have to figure out what vision do you have for yourself? Like, who do you want to become? What do you want to experience in your time here? We all die. And I had that realization at a young age. And so I'm like, okay, this ends. What am I going to do with it? Am I going to sit around and play video games, or am I going to go explore? It's like Helen Keller has this great quote. She says, life is either an adventure or it's nothing. And it's true.
Yeah.
And so the mindset was, okay, what is the best way to see what's true about the world and people? And am I good enough? And what are these people all about? And so my first step into that entire environment was sales, because you're going to learn really quick. If you're any good, you're going to get your teeth kicked in with no's, cold calls, door to door sales, you name it. And so that fortifies your mindset that no is not no. It's just data. It's not about you. It's not about your ideas. It's just data. Use it, refine, and try again tomorrow. And you kind of learn this resilience where it doesn't matter. It's just someone's opinion about an idea. Okay. So, sales is like one of the key skills. And I don't believe sales is pitching or scripts. Sales is talking to people and listening to people. That's it. A conversation like we're having here, Don. That's all sales is. All these gurus want to make it into something bigger than it is. It's not. But it's like the number one skill you can ever learn is how to talk and listen to people. And that was really my first avenue to build this mindset of anything's possible through other people.
Yeah, I love that. And you and I are brothers from other mothers. I started out on the sales side, and today I help people sell more of whatever they sell. And I tell people all the time, I don't know how to make people do things, short of having a gun and, so short of force. But I know how to make it easy for people to do things. And people want to do things that are good for them. And so if you can position your product, service, or experience to where, the value of owning it is worth more than their dollars, they'll throw their money at you. If my money is dirt compared to what you're going to provide me, give me what you have, take my money and let me go on down the road. Because everybody's trying to do the best they can for themselves. And so when you talk to people from that standpoint, it certainly gets a lot easier. And I think that same degree of influence is foundational in leadership, which is maybe a different kind of selling, but it's all influence. It's how can I get people to see things the way I see them? So I love that. When you transition from employee mode, okay, to founding creators learn, what definition of success did you set for yourself?
Question. I'm kind of a weirdo because I don't really believe in goals because two things happen. Number one, you reach the goal and it's anticlimactic because you realize it's fun for a day, but now I got to set another goal. So it becomes a hamster wheel. There's no satisfaction. Or I don't reach the goal and I'm disappointed. So it's a lose-lose situation. I like infinite games where I can play it to the day I die and I enjoy the process along the way. So I don't think about it from the lens of I want to have this particular goal. I have directional goals, but I put in processes and systems that I can execute every day that I enjoy doing. This is where the fulfillment comes into play. And so that's how I think about goals. I don't know if I'm answering your question. I'm getting off on a tangent, but
No.
It's for me personally, it's always about like, what am I doing every day? Because to getting back to your question I want to wake up every day excited. And excitement is what I pay attention to. Am I excited about what I'm doing? Because if there's resistance, I'm going the wrong direction or I'm doing it the wrong way. And I've done enough experiments to figure out you can go the right direction and get to the same place, but take a different path and still get there. And one you actually enjoy taking that walk versus one where you're in the snow and the rain and you're miserable. And so I really pay attention to, am I excited? Am I grateful? Am I enjoying the process? Because again, things that we don't
I
like
always
doing,
felt
it's silly.
if it was too hard, probably doing something wrong. If it's
Yes.
too hard, probably
There,
just
there,
doing something wrong.
Don, there's a great quote. I think it's by Charlie Munger. No, I'm sorry. It's Warren Buffett. And he says, he was looking at different stocks and he looks at 100 stocks and 99 of them go into the too hard pile.
Mm.
And I think about that from a
Yeah.
business lens, like too hard doing that, too hard doing that, too hard doing that. And you find the thing that you would naturally gravitate towards anyway, which is where your natural skills are, what you're good at, and what you enjoy doing. Just do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I can think back when I was a newish entrepreneur. Boy, we were just pounding our head on the walls and we couldn't really kind of figure it out. And we opened an office in another town and instantly everything turned around. And it just had to do with the amount of competition in the current markets that we were in compared to going to a market where it was green grass and high tides and blue oceans. And it was just like, oh my gosh, why aren't we doing that? And so, we did 22 more of those. And, there's nothing wrong with easy doesn't mean there's nothing negative to easy. Easy might mean you're actually doing it the right way. And I think sometimes entrepreneurs, get that a little cross-wired in their heads. So I know resilience is a key theme. Would you share a failing? I don't really believe in failures, but would you share a personal failing or setback that when it happened, you thought, man, ouch, but that it actually became a real positive in your career?
I would say one of them, well, let me caveat this is I have a lot of beliefs and I don't believe in failure. I don't believe it's a thing. I believe it's a figment of the human imagination. I believe it's
Mhm.
just data. So with that being said, Don, I would
Okay.
say, one of the interesting, data points is going about sales the wrong way and trying to go to the customer directly instead. And I wasted years doing this, trying to sell one to one instead of thinking
Mm.
strategically, which I learned through doing one to one that there was a better way because I had to find a better path to my destination is figuring out, okay, instead of me trying to convince and get a hold of and do all these things, I was trying to get in the healthcare space. Who already has all the doctors in their network? And who already has the doctors in their network that already has the doctor's trust? And so I thought about it and I realized, well, medical device salespeople talk to hundreds of doctors every week. And why don't I connect with those people? Because then they can bring me into their realm of influence to all their doctors and actually use my service to help them sell their service to the doctors. So it becomes a win, win, win without me doing any of the
Mm.
selling, the marketing, or the branding because my device salespeople do it for me. And so this is about leverage, simplicity, and working with other humans because that's all business
Yeah, I
is.
love that.
The thing about people get misconstrued what business is. Businesses is just simply working with other people's psychology. And if you think about the psychology of trust through a referral network or through a strategic partner, there's no negotiations, there's no sales, there's no convincing, there's no scripts. They're just signed contracts. 90% of the work is done. And so I always think to myself, like, entrepreneurship is so simple. Sales is so simple. If you think about it from the right lens of what you're selling, who you're selling it to, and how you're going about getting that product or service to that person.
I love that. And, you touch on trust there. And I share this all the time, no trust, NO trust, no sales, NO sales, which is all there is to it. And trust is a bridge built gradually between humans, regardless of the relationship, but where you're leveraging someone who already has that trust, you're accelerating that gradual construction of trust because you already have it. And then the fact that all three parties win. And I think that's key to relationships with humans. If you want to do very well, and we're all in the people business, I don't really care what business you think you're in. We're in the people business, but everybody's got to win. And if there's a loser, it's just not going to work. It's not going to be as successful as you want it to be. Everybody's got I think there's I don't know whose proverb it is, but you got to let the other guy eat part of the pie. Everybody has to win. Okay. You can't have it all. And so I too am not a great big believer in, I'm not really a believer in failure. I think people have, failings, they have events, but I really kind of see that a little differently. I think either you win or you learn, and learning is just a little slower winning. It's still winning. It's just a little slower than I bust the tape in front of everybody else or whatever. And so if you have to look at it like that but I do believe that. If you could pull back, if we were going to get into Jermaine's golden nugget treasure chest of things that you know, and you could share like one nugget with our listeners, what would be the most important thing you would share today to help somebody on their journey in entrepreneurship?
I would say to focus 100% on your energy and strategy on maximizing personal freedom versus maximizing growth in the business. Because ironically and paradoxically, the more you build a freedom-based business where you can spend time with your kids, you can go on vacation, you can go to the gym, you can take walks, you can read a book, you have downtime. Ironically, your business actually operates better. You're more creative, you're more resilient, you're more calm because you're not working 16, 12, 10, 8 hours a day. I have a belief if you work more than 4 hours a day in your business, you're working on the wrong things.
Yeah. It's counterintuitive. Okay. It sounds like, no, if things aren't going well, I need to work harder. Okay. But probably you got to keep it in balance to where your brain has a chance to breathe. Okay. You're not just reacting to this fire and that emergency and that urgency. And you can actually think and prime your creativity of the best. Many of the best ideas will happen for you on the beach, on a mountain, whatever's your thing. Okay. But not behind your desk, not in your office, and not at your house, someplace away. And I was horrible about that for probably the first 20 years of my entrepreneurship. I literally did not take a vacation. I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I took a lot of 3 and 4 day weekends, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's also something to be said about going to China for 26 days, spending 3 weeks in Italy. There's something to be said about getting away for a certain period of time to kind of rejuvenate your spirit and your soul and your brain. So, and then the other thing is this, is if you're trying to grow your company, common complaint is, my people won't step up and lead. And I'm like, well, you actually have to get your butt out of the leadership chair for them to have an opportunity. And if you're sitting in the chair every day, no, they're never going to step in to lead because they'd have to sit on your lap. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. Okay, Jermaine, you are my brother from another mother. Like on the TV show, the legal TV shows where they say, I reserve the right to recall the witness at a later date. I am reserving the right to recall you because I think there's some rabbit holes we can go down that will be really beneficial to some people. If somebody wanted to reach out to you or your company, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah. So, if this resonates, have them go to creatorslearn.com. Again, there's creators and then there's victims. Yeah. So creatorslearn.com. And what they can get there is I have a freedom formula. It's called the salespreneur freedom formula. Because if you're an entrepreneur, you're also in sales. And if you're a salesperson, you're also an entrepreneur. And they can learn about my frameworks in the formula. Basically, we talk about what to sell, who to sell it to, and how to sell that thing, where you're able to create this financial freedom, lifestyle freedom, but also fulfillment because you're strategically having fun with partners that win too. So you can check that out at Creators Learn.
Love that. So creatorslearn.com. And I can't stress how much I agree with Jermaine is so common with entrepreneurs, even that have successful exits, because they didn't build the freedom in, and they were very successful financially, but because they didn't build in the personal freedom and the family freedom, they're unfulfilled. They're like, so is that all there is? Yeah, I walked out with 8 figures, but is that all there is? And so a lot easier if you build that into your life as you're going about it than try and find it for the first time when you're 50 and you've exited your 20-year overnight success story, that type of thing. So, Jermaine, my pleasure to have you on the show today. Thank you so very much.
Thanks, Don. It was a good time, man.
Yeah. That's today's episode of the Proven Entrepreneur Show. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.